Mr. Speaker, I move that the House convey its congratulations to President-elect Donald Trump on his election as the next President of the United States, and to Vice President-elect Mike Pence on his election, and doing so express our desire to work with the incoming Trump administration to continue building on New Zealand's already strong relationship with the United States. Mr. Speaker, New Zealand and the US have an excellent relationship, and it has gone from strength to strength in recent years, as demonstrated by the visit of the USS Sampson to Auckland next week for the International Naval Review, marking the Royal New Zealand Navy's 75th anniversary. Secretary of State John Kerry is currently visiting New Zealand and also travelling to Antarctica, where we are, of course, natural partners. New Zealand and the US recently cooperated to create the world's largest marine protected area in the Ross Sea. This will cover roughly 1.55 million square kilometres and showcases what we can achieve when we work together. Mr. Speaker, the people of America went to the polls yesterday, as we know, and will soon have a new president. The Prime Minister will be writing to President-elect Trump to offer his personal congratulations and to reiterate our commitment to continuing to work closely with the US on trade and economic cooperation, including progressing our shared regional interests in the Asia-Pacific region. Mr. Speaker, we share many common values with the US: democracy, human rights, the rule of law, and a belief in free markets. Our two countries are very close defence and security partners, working to bring peace and security in Iraq, Afghanistan, and other parts of the world. An open and engaged United States is very important to New Zealand. The US is a valued trading partner for New Zealand. It is our third largest trading market, worth over $8 billion. New Zealand will seek to build on this already strong relationship with the incoming Trump administration in order to advance our shared interests. In closing, Mr. Speaker, I'd also like to pay tribute to the outgoing administration led by President Barack Obama. President Obama has been a good friend to New Zealand, and we wish him all the best in future.
The question is that the motion be agreed to.
Mr.
The Honourable
Speaker.
Annette King.
Mr. Speaker, the Labour Party congratulates Donald Trump on becoming the 45th President of the United States. I also want to acknowledge Hillary Clinton, who achieved much in her public life and has been a good friend to New Zealand. There is no doubt over the year-long divisive presidential campaign that many Americans have been left fearful and concerned as to where they fit in their country. I call on Mr. Trump to follow through on his words and pledge last night that it's now time for America to bind the wounds of division and that he will be the president for all Americans. We can take heart from Hillary Clinton's comments this morning. They must accept the result and look to the future. She said they owe the new president an open mind and a chance to lead. And, Mr. Speaker, we support those sentiments. I also call on Mr. Trump to uphold the rule of law, the principle of equal rights and dignity, freedom of expression, respect, inclusion and understanding, because these are the values that lie at the heart of a liberal democracy. In the Labour Party, we do value our relations with the United States, and we are committed to continuing those relationships. Mr. Speaker, at the same time, making it clear that we will speak out against bigotry, racism, misogyny or hate whenever and wherever we see it.
Mr. Speaker.
Materia Ture.
The ultimate measure of a man is not where he stands in moments of comfort and convenience, but where he stands at times of challenge and controversy. These are the words of one of the truly great Americans, Martin Luther King. Yesterday's result in the US elections has left me and the Green Party even more determined than ever to fight for the values that we believe in. We have generations of families living in poverty, people who face uncertain futures without proper housing or health care or education. People who don't believe that being involved can make a difference. That is something that we must change. We must use the Trump election as a powerful motivator, a motivator to stay involved in the governance of our country and to include others in that process, to organise, to be strong, to listen to each other, to speak truth to power, to find hope, to be kind to each other, to be kind. So, no, I will not support this motion to congratulate Trump, and neither will the Green Party. We vow to fight the climate change denial, the misogyny, the racism represented by Trump. We will not let hate triumph. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Order.
Mr. Speaker.
The Right Honourable Winston Peters.
Mr. Speaker, a week ago today I was honoured to speak in wine-growing territory in Marlborough to their Chamber of Commerce. In a speech titled The Grapes of Wrath, I predicted what so many experts did not. That was, not after the event, beforehand, who would win, who would become the 45th President of the United States. And that cacophony of embarrassment is not going to deter us today. Like so many other speeches we have made on matters so important to this country, the media and the experts and the pollsters and this House as well, that side of course, decided to ignore it, and that's why they were shocked with the outcome yesterday. All foreseeable, all predictable, all forecast, but no, these people who think they've got the prescience of mind to understand and run a country sit there in this snobbing sniggery today and think that that is an excuse for their presence here.
Order.
There are too many people in politics and experts who give their subjective judgment, laced with their personal preference, that think that passes for professional comment. Well, it doesn't. And you're letting your country down. Everyone is entitled to their personal view on either Hillary Clinton or Donald Trump. But politicians are meant to have some understanding of the environment in which they operate and the consequences of what they say, both here and abroad. This contest was never about the Democrats or the Republican parties. It was about those old parties being captured by big vested interests and controlling Washington. And the American people knew it. 72% across the divide didn't trust what was going on. That's why Bernie Sanders won 22 states in the contest with Clinton. That's why Donald Trump, an utter outsider, beat off 16 insiders for the nomination. It's not difficult to foresee what was going to happen. This was about the laid-off auto workers in Grand Rapids, Michigan, the ones who have seen their jobs moved to Mexico. It was about the workers in Arizona who lost their jobs when the parts they once supplied to Apple were no longer needed. It was about the workers in Circleville, Ohio, as General Electric closes a factory there. They flocked to hear Governor Mike Pence, now Vice President-elect, tell them why they should be in work and not looking for a job. And does it sound familiar? These people aren't the deplorables, but are honest, hard-working middle America. They're real people. They're not uneducated. They're smart, and they're motivated by promises that have turned to ashes in their mouths. It is not unique to the United States. People who expected the American dream instead of a minimum wage job packing shelves at Walmart. Like the Brexit campaign in the UK. You can pull out all your smart aleck experts, and you did. Every huge salaried banker, and you did. Every defender of the indefensible in terms of the economic and social malaise confronting ordinary people, and you did. But why would the ordinary person listen to these apologists for elitism? To these apologists for elitism? Why the man that's actually retired, Mr. Bennett, who's retiring, hasn't even got a party decent enough to thank him for being an absolute wet blanket all the time in the House.
That's right. That's right.
Mr. Bennett, what are they going to do without you?
Heaps.
Why would the ordinary people listen to politicians who defend the appalling concentration of wealth in the hands of the few at the expense of the many? And the US election repudiated the Trans-Pacific Partnership. And New Zealand First will say what we told you on the 4th of February this year. We told you so. There's nothing so antiseptic as the statement, we told you so, but we darn well did. But instead of Nick Smith and John Key and Mr. Fix-It, Mr. Novapay, and every ace amateur over there saying they might have something, no, they carried on regardless. At $5.5 million now. And there's a bill on the order paper today. How do you like that, eh? Numb.
Order.
Blinded to reality. Sitting there, about to go, of course, and go they will, because they're part of the process. There was an opportunity cost, you see, associated with the TPPA, which has been diverted away from real free trade agreements. Now, sir, at the beginning of this year, we predicted on the 23rd of June that the Brexit campaign would be victorious in the UK. Mr. Key, of course, and all these experts in the National Party said they were supporting Mr. Cameron, supporting the Remain side. And you know, the campaign was hardly over. And what happened? Mr. Key said, oh, we're going to the UK to get a free trade deal. You know, this guy's got no shame. And he's got no principles. And he's got no ability either. This man from Merrill Lynch has been exposed for what he is. He forgets what he said in the last hour. And all of a sudden, he's going to ring up Donald Trump. He's been dumping all over Donald Trump. Dumping all over Donald Trump. And so have others in this House. My message to members of Parliament in this House is, this is about the American people. It's not about the President. It's about the American people. And we need to continue our relationship that some of us worked hard to build up. But no, the venality, the arrogance of these people knows no bounds. And up they got. Oh, no, don't call me Winston. You call me Collect. Mr. Speaker, I want to say something. Last year there was a by-election in Northern. What happened there happened in the UK. What happened in the UK saw a hung parliament in Australia when Turnbull called a snap election and dissolved both houses. And what happened in Northern happened in the hamlets and the villages and the towns and the clothes factories of America yesterday. All so foreseeable. And I look around some of the faces here today, sneering and scoffing, and I want ordinary New Zealanders workers out there to know one thing. These people are sneering at you. They're sneering at your dreams and hopes. They are so up themselves, they are so arrogant that they think any decent sentiment about housing, health, education and first world jobs is not worthy. No, they'd rather their own ephemeral, high-blown concepts and ideas to prevail, and to hell with the working people of this country. All the small businesses, all the medium-sized businesses hard up against it now in a government that's got no plan. Mr. Speaker, I've got 2 minutes to go, and I just want to say this. From Kaitaia in New Zealand, from Kaitaia in New Zealand's far north, to Louisville in the UK Shetland Islands, and to New Orleans in Louisiana, the elitist neoliberal mnemonic curtain is collapsing around the globe. And it's coming to a place near you. Because that's what this government represents. The people who were most fearful yesterday, all around the country, were those small handful of highly wealthy, foreign-owned in the main, people that support the National Party. What do you want, boy?
Order. Order. Apologise to the member. I didn't.
Mr Speaker, the member has now been speaking for over 8.5 minutes and he's used a range of devices to avoid taking a position on the motion.
Order. Order. That's not a point of order. The member has a 10-minute slot. He can use it.
Not bad.
Right, Honourable Winston
Somebody who
Peters.
sits here because he is a political puppet. He got put in by the National Party. He got an office by the National Party. He got elevated by the National Party. He doesn't rate 1%. The media give him an enormous amount of coverage. He just has to cough and they publish him. And he is going out of this parliament so fast his little feet won't touch the ground. This revolution is middle class and the worker revolution. People who work hard, pay their taxes, and just want a fair go. We have 3 words for these people, as in America, as in the UK, but now in New Zealand. One party uniquely has these 3 words. We hear you.
Mr. Speaker.
Marama Fox.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I had 3 words in mind and they weren't those ones. I think they were pot, kettle and black. But we're here today, Mr. Speaker, to offer congratulations to the President-elect Donald Trump. And while I find it a little bit difficult, there was a collective sigh this morning and a girding of the loins for the next 4 years across the world. I'm a pragmatist at heart. I like to see the silver lining around the clouds. And as I look to America, I think, well, you know what? The bricklayers are going to be happy and the concrete merchants will be happy because they'll be building a wall very soon to keep Americans in. And that might be because if you watched the results as they came in overnight, Mr. Speaker, you would have seen that a number of immigration sites around the world actually crashed by the inquiries of people trying to get out. But here's the thing. The people did vote. The disaffected people of America, the blue-collar people of America stood up and voted. And they voted for Mr. Trump because he represented something that we must take note of. And that is the fact that they feel disenfranchised in their nation. They feel like they do not fit in the system, but they use the politics of hate. They use the politics of divide and conquer in order to put their view across. And we've seen a very good example of that just now. Meted out against my friend and colleague, Mr. Seymour. Mr. David Seymour, yes, he is my friend. I have a number of friends in this House across all the parties, Mr. Speaker, and we will work with others. And I think that we have shown, as the Māori Party of this nation, that we will work with others who want to support the advancement of our people for the value of this nation and not use the politics of hate, divide and conquer that we see in this nation. So there is one fear I have, Mr. Speaker, that after this election, the fear that I have, Mr. Speaker, is that we have opened the door for the next election for the redneck comment and the iwi versus Kiwi, the brown mailing of the government and all of those things that they throw out against Māori that happens every time election comes up. It started already. It has started already. And so all I say, Mr. Speaker, is that we must take note of the voice of the people because that's why we're here. So in that I agree. And we need to understand that the voice of the people for Māoridom, who we represent, say that actually we like charter schools and actually we want to have a say in the RMA and actually, Mr. Speaker, that we want to ensure that we have a voice in the democracy of this country and that's what we stand for. And so before we start to go and point the fingers in the coming up of this election where a vote for Māori is a vote for National, it is not. A vote for us is a vote for democracy, just like the people in America yesterday stood up and took their vote. And so, Mr. Speaker, we would like to congratulate the President-elect Trump despite the misgivings that we may have, despite the girding of the loins, despite the collective sigh that the world has said this morning and expressed today, we have to move forward and we have to look for the silver lining, and one of them might be that we can thank Mr Trump for getting rid of the TPP.
Mr Speaker.
David Seymour.
Mr Speaker, on behalf of the ACT Party, I'd like to join with other leaders who have supported the motion congratulating the 45th President-elect of the United States, Donald Trump. And that occurs in the context of a long friendship between our two countries. That happens in the context of a long friendship between our two countries and our two peoples. I think it's important that we respect the will of the American people. There have been many commentators in New Zealand over the last 24 hours, most notably the Dominion Post's front page, which seems to think that we should only respect the outcome of a democratic election when we happen to like the result. Mr Speaker, we have to accept the result from the American people. Only then can we start to understand it. And I have to say, we actually did get halfway to that from New Zealand's own poor man's Donald Trump. And you have to wonder what Donald Trump would think, Donald Trump, the outsider that is, would think of a 40-year career politician. Mr Speaker, the poor man's Donald Trump, who sells exactly the same product and can't break 10%. Mr Speaker, it is important that we accept that there were people in the United States who did feel that they were not being included in America's growth and that they were being left behind by dysfunctional markets. And, Mr Speaker, I believe it is critical that if we're to avoid the same winds of dissatisfaction and division in New Zealand, then one thing that we must do is fix our dysfunctional markets in housing and in education. And that's actually something that this government is making a serious effort at doing, because there's no ideas on the other side of the House, particularly from New Zealand First. Mr Speaker, I do want to quibble slightly with the President-elect on one particular point, and that is I know that many women in the US and many women in New Zealand are deeply disturbed by the comments made by a man who has now been elected the leader of the free world and one of the most powerful men on the planet. And I certainly hope that on behalf of that sentiment, on behalf of those people that he has disturbed, he will back away from those comments and apologise. But with that minor quibble, I join with other leaders in celebration of democracy and in congratulation of the 45th and the 45th President-elect of the United States, Donald Trump. Thank you, Mr Speaker.
Order. The question is order. The question is that the motion be agreed to. Those of that opinion will say aye. Aye. To the contrary, no. No. The ayes. Order. Order. A party vote has been called for. I'll ask the clerk to conduct a party vote.
New Zealand National.
59 votes in favour.
New Zealand Labour.
31 votes in favour.
Green Party.
14 votes opposed.
New Zealand First.
12 votes in favour.
Māori Party.
2 votes in favour.
ACT New Zealand.
1 vote in favour.
United Future.
1 vote in favour.
Order. Order. While votes are being conducted. Order. Order. While votes are conducted, they're conducted in silence. The ayes are 106. The noes are 14. The motion is agreed to.